a mais um Café com Bíblia, com mais uma participação super especial, dessa vez vindo direto lá do Reino Unido, Pastor Derek.
Hello.
Hi, Pastor. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
It's an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for your time, for your attention, and we want to know a little bit about you.
Okay, well, you will probably realize I'm not from Brazil. I come from England. I was born in London, which is the capital of England, but we now live on the south coast of England. I'm officially retired, but I'm not quite ready to stop doing everything and just watch daytime television. So I'm carrying on preaching and teaching, and just in this last few years, I've been in about 30 or 40 different countries communicating the gospel. I became a Christian when I was 18 from a completely non-Christian background when I was a student, and I've had the joy of leading everybody in my family to Christ and seeing them grow and go on in their faith. I originally began in television, and I was a presenter as well as preparing for documentary programs for television, for news comment style programs. And I also did quite a bit of radio programs as well, and I had a radio program in over 100 countries every day of the week, of one kind or another. And in between all of that, I've been a pastor of churches in England. So I was a pastor of a church in a place called Rugby. You know about rugby?
Kind of.
It's where they picked up the ball and they started to run with it. Game of rugby. People in Brazil play rugby pretty well. Not as well as people in England, but they do play it quite well. And I was pastoring a church in a town called Rugby in the middle of England. And then I went to a place called Manchester, and I was the senior pastor of a very large church in Manchester around about that time. So that's something about my background. I have a wife, I have 2 daughters and 2 son-in-laws, and just very happy to be here.
That's awesome. A gente também quer agradecer o pastor Leandro que veio acompanhando a gente, ele que fez esse intercâmbio entre o pastor Derek e a gente, e agradecer também a livraria Rara que está aqui prestigiando a gente e cedendo um lugar um pouquinho para a gente poder fazer essa entrevista. Awesome. By the way, I feel so blessed to talk with someone with this big baggage of knowledge and wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thanks for thinking that.
So today we are going to talk about abundant life, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, the first thing that I can think about when I say abundant life, I can think that each person has a different meaning to that, you know? But on the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10, Jesus brings us a new meaning of abundant life, and that is so crazy because it's so different of the meaning that society would consider right for us. So the first question I want to make you, I'd like to ask you, what is the concept that can be understood of abundant life to a follower of Christ?
Yes. I think there is a big difference between people who go to church and people who have an authentic walk with God. We would call it in England a difference between being religious and having a relationship with God. And as you've said, in John 10:10, Jesus is outlined in terms of what he came to do, what he came to be. I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. When I've been in Sweden, where I've normally for the last 30 years been once a year just to speak to students in Sweden, I discovered that in their version and translation of the Bible, John 10:10, abundant life, means more than you need. And that to me is what real Christianity is all about, that it's not just making our way through, but the relationship becomes real, becomes personal, becomes a growing thing. So Christianity is best known in an overflow. So it's not love, it's a love that surpasses knowledge. It's not joy, it's a joy unspeakable and full of glory. It's not peace, it's a peace that transcends understanding. And a lot of people I meet have got Christianity a little bit like they've got a headache. When you get a headache, you don't want to lose your head. It just hurts you to keep it. And a lot of people I know, particularly particularly younger people, they're not going to give up on their Christianity, but it's something they're enduring rather than enjoying, because they've got an average Christian life rather than the authentic, real, abundant life that God all along wants us to have.
That's awesome. Thinking about the society that we live in, what are the principal factors that can set us apart of living this life?
It's basically making sure that what I've got in my head goes down about 9 inches towards my heart and affects it, so that I am making visible my Christian commitment, not just in what I say, but in what I actually am. Jesus put it in terms of being salt and light within a community. Now, salt is used to disinfect that which is bad and fertilize that which is good. And that's what he wants me to be in any society, to make a difference for the better within that society. And that's really the way in which it will make an impact through me if I do that. But that's only going to happen if I understand what the gospel actually is. And I think one of the problems as to why people don't make that impact is that they really don't understand what the gospel of Christ is all about. They think it's about being saved from sin, which it is, but that's only half the gospel. The other half of the gospel is not just being saved from sin, but what Romans 5 talks about, the saving life of Christ. That he died, he rose again, he ascended. By the Holy Spirit, he comes to live in me. So it's Christ in me, to live the Christian life through me. And I think one of the reasons why people fall short of that kind of abundance and that kind of reality, and people not knowing that and finding that, is simply because they fall short of realizing what Christianity is all about. I mean, one of the biggest lessons I think I ever learned in my Christian life is that Christianity isn't easy, isn't difficult, it's impossible. And if I try to live the Christian life, then it's all going to fall apart. What I do for God, it's what he does in and through me, which is the actual key.
Pastor, you say about the people who are religion and not having Christ in their life. I have a question. What about the people who are inside the churches, but they have a great difficulty to live this kind of life? Even they are listening about it constantly, you know? Why do you think that happens?
Yes, I think it is because they don't realize it's a relationship. It's a little bit like, say, a marriage relationship. If there is love, then it doesn't become a burden or a difficulty to do things, to say we rather than I in a situation. I'm being fed here, which is fantastic. That is the key. It's a little bit like a couple get married, and let's say the husband comes home and he says, I really love you, but it's very hard loving you. Well, you probably find how very hard it can get, because you'll make it hard for him. It's not, you don't talk in those terms when there's love in the relationship. And I think people will fall in line with Christ when they're falling in love with him. But that will only happen when we realize what he has done, who he is, why he has done that. And then we have a desire to actually serve him, because it's not rules and regulations.
Okay, awesome. Last question. It's not a question. Can you let us some advices that can help us to truly understand this kind of life and living this?
A number of different factors, I think, in all of this, but like in any relationship, it has to be personal. It has to be a talking, communicating relationship. I need to get into my Bible on a regular basis. God's talking to me through that word. I need to talk to him, converse with him in a regular way. I think if I'm living my life in that way, it's going to make a world of difference to how I'm going to express my Christian life. And one of the big dangers is that we don't listen to what God has got to say in the directions that he wants us to actually go, which is exciting when you do, because you end up achieving things and doing things that you'd never expect before.
We have a lot of people that is watching us right now that doesn't know God, don't know Jesus, and something that maybe you can have to tell them, I don't know. Yeah. Because sometimes when we say Christians, when we say that we have to listen to God, they don't understand us,
No. I understand that as well. I think the great thing is to know that if you will just seek him and just as honestly as you know how, and say, would you show yourself to me? Would you reveal yourself in some way to me? We are honest about it, then we will find God and we will know him. And that will make a world of difference to us for time, for eternity. No one surely wants to end their lives looking back with regrets. No one wants to end their lives thinking, what a mess I've made of these things. So to live it in touch with the one who is your creator, the one from whom you came and the one you're going back to, and to live to his good pleasure, really, there's nothing better than that.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
It's been a pleasure.
It was awesome learning with you. Thank you so much once again. I think everyone liked it. Everyone learned something. So once time I heard this quote, it says that we gotta learn to walk with people better than us. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Thank you so much.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you.
Bom, pessoal, esse foi o vídeo de hoje. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado, que tenha sido um tempo prazeroso para vocês, que vocês tenham aprendido muito. Quero agradecer mais uma vez ao pastor Leandro, que nos ajudou nessa caminhada aí. Agradecer o pessoal da Rara mais uma vez. Gente, se vocês gostam de cafezinho, de uma leitura como a gente gosta, vem aqui, é super interessante, é super legal o espaço. Eu vou deixar aí no box de informações o endereço para vocês virem visitar. Fica aqui na cidade de Poá, show de bola. Então, se você gostou do vídeo, dá um like pra gente saber. Compartilha com alguém, quem sabe alguém tá precisando ouvir um pouquinho disso, né? Quem sabe alguém tá precisando de um gás na vida pra viver uma vida abundante. E se inscreva no canal se você ainda não é inscrito, a gente tem bastante vídeos como esse aqui, tá bom? Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Beijo.